We're not too far removed from World Happiness Week, which occurs each year in mid-March. As Canadians, there's a lot to feel happy about, yet happiness levels in this country have been decreasing. And it's not just because of the pandemic and other world events over the past 2 years. In fact, life satisfaction in this country has been in decline since 2005. So it begs the question, why aren't we as happy, and how do we fix that? Hi everyone, I'm Trevor Sullivan of Sullivan Associates Clinical Psychology. Today I'm going to discuss part 2 of my 2-part video topic, If Life is So Good, Why Am I Not That Happy? Before we get started, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. And if you're on YouTube, click the alert notification. That way, when we release more videos, you'll get notified. In 2015, Canada ranked 5th overall in World Life Satisfaction Rankings, also known as Happiness Rankings. By 2020, when the last poll was completed, we fell to 15th on the list. So why is this happening? Unfortunately, that's unclear, as the survey didn't address this. However, past research points to factors such as decreases in finances, physical health, and community supports as contributing factors. But regardless of what the contributing factors are, the ability to manage emotions effectively will be crucial to help change how we think or engage in positive action to make things better. So with that in mind, today I'm going to discuss 6 more strategies to help improve feelings of happiness. But before I do that, I'm going to briefly review the first 6 strategies that were covered in part 1 of this video, just in case you missed it. So to recap, for the first strategy, it's important to take time each day to be grateful by prioritizing a bit of time to focus on what's going well. I encourage you to focus on bigger areas such as health and relationships, as well as smaller areas, such as a series you might be looking forward to watching, or a great view of nature you might have seen earlier in the day. Second, it's important to evaluate your expectations in a way that helps promote happiness. Simply put, it's important to have your expectations align with your thoughts or the situation at hand. And if you're unable to do that, it's important to change how you think or change how you act, because the wider the gap between your expectations and the thoughts or the situation, the more unhappy you'll be. Next, I'd encourage you to find joy in everyday experiences. This can be accomplished by being present and enjoying the moment, as well as taking a bit of time to focus on past moments that were enjoyable. For my 4th strategy for improving happiness, I encourage you to accept that challenges and setbacks are part of life, as opposed to being highly upset and discouraged each time they occur. Instead, I suggest reframing these setbacks as challenges that you can overcome that will ultimately make you stronger. 5th, it's important to have a reasonable level of self-acceptance. Without self-acceptance, it's tough to feel good about yourself or anything that you've ever done, which will significantly restrict your ability to feel happy. And for my 6th strategy, I encourage you to be social. We're all designed for connection, and even the most introverted people need consistent social connection to feel happy. Now for my 7th strategy for improving happiness, and the first new strategy for today's video, it's important not to get too caught up with materialism. So you ask, what's wrong with wanting nice things? Nothing, actually. Nice things exist in the world for people to appreciate and own. It only becomes an issue when the focus turns into an obsessive desire to get things you want, but currently don't have. Because when this happens, it's more challenging to appreciate what you already have. In a 2014 study, Dr. Joanne Zhang and colleagues, they found that materialistic people felt less gratitude and lower levels of life satisfaction. And according to the researcher James Roberts, a co-author of the study, as we amass more and more possessions, we don't get any happier. We simply raise the bar for other things we want to have that we hope will make us happy. He refers to this pattern as a treadmill of consumption. But what makes this particularly tricky is that materialism does provide happiness. It's usually short-term though. However, that initial rush of happiness can make it easy to get stuck in the treadmill. Consider this. There are likely things that you already have now that were once things you wished you owned and thought would create long-term happiness and likely didn't. What's needed here is a shift in mindset. So the goal is to change the pursuit of material possessions from achieving to be happy to happily achieving. Besides a nice play on words, what does that really mean? With achieving to be happy, the goal is to achieve things in order to create feelings of happiness. With this approach, once the goal is achieved, these feelings typically melt away quickly and unhappiness returns. a new materialistic goal is set, and the pattern repeats, with the hope that a new item or possession will lead to sustainable happiness. With happily achieving, the purpose is to enjoy and feel grateful for what you've already achieved. Pursuing new goals isn't a means to achieving happiness, but rather a way to progress and expand your life. That's what we want to strive for. And when you achieve nice things, the purpose is to enjoy and appreciate them, as opposed to falling into the trap of hoping that an item or material possession will bring happiness. For my next strategy, I encourage you to take time to learn new things. Generally speaking, most of us feel a need to enhance our lives and progress towards different goals. Sometimes, as we get a bit older and settle into life, it can become routine and mundane, as we fall into a pattern of getting up, going to work, running a household, caring for children, and so on. As life becomes busy and time's limited, very little time, if any, is given to creating variety and learning new things. But picture this. Imagine telling a child in school that they'll remain stuck in the same grade indefinitely. They'll learn the same material each year and never advance to the next grade. We obviously have some pretty unhappy kids in our hands. Yet, as adults, there's a tendency to get stuck in the same routine and become bored and unhappy because this is how it's supposed to be right now, or there's nothing I can do about it. In part 1 of this video, I mentioned a 2006 study done by Drs. Tatch and Lyubomirsky about the top 5 happy habits. And learning new things was one of those habits. But how do you do this, especially if you're tight on time? Here are a few guiding principles that might help. First, start with something small so your time commitment's minimal. Second, ideally select something you can do either at home or have something you can easily take with you. Third, find a good time to fit it into your life. For example, potential good times could be when your children have gone to bed, when you have time to burn waiting, such as waiting in line to attend an appointment, or possibly learning while you're driving, depending on the activity, of course. And fourth, justify the time by listing reasons why doing something you enjoy is a must and not a want. If you find that your small time commitment for learning something new creates meaningful happiness, that should be a clue to continue with it. Or consider even layering in more time to devote to new learning. Given there's 168 hours in a week, it's important to find at least a few hours to devote to something you truly enjoy. The next strategy to help promote happiness is to prioritize positivity. While this one might appear to be a bit of a no-brainer, it isn't so easily achieved. I've often told clients that if your goal in life is to feel neutral, either positive or negative, you'd likely end up feeling very negative. Why? Unfortunately, negativity is all around us. It dominates the news, it shows up in most discussions, and is rampant online. And speaking of the internet and social media, there was a landmark study completed in 2014 by Dr. Lorenzo Cavello, in which the emotional content of over 1 billion status updates on Facebook was examined. And what they found is that emotions are contagious online. So viewing someone's post can influence your mood to be either positive or negative. And given society's tendency to be negative, being online can definitely hurt your mood. Fortunately, there's a positive finding from the study. It was found that positive emotions are more contagious than negative ones. So the upside is that people are naturally more attracted to positive feelings. But how do you prioritize positivity? One way is to begin to structure your life around activities that create feelings of joy and happiness. There'll clearly be individual differences in how to structure your day, but let's take a look at a quick example of a daily plan that could help someone to feel more positive. For starters, you could begin your day by relaxing and enjoying a morning coffee for yourself, even if it's just for 5 to 10 minutes. Next, you can read an article from your favorite writer during a break or while having lunch. And when checking your phone or the newspaper, you could quickly gloss over, or better yet, skip the negative articles in the news. While at work or home, you could talk to a positive coworker, friend, or family member. You could also make time to have lunch with a positive coworker, family member, or friend after work. You could take 10 minutes to decompress and do something you enjoy, even if it means staying at work or sitting alone in your car for a little while. In the evening, you could watch your favorite show with your partner once your kids have gone to bed. By now, I'm sure you get the idea. Stacking positive activities in everyday life, no matter how small they might seem, help create feelings of happiness. And according to a 2013 study by Dr. Lana Catalino and colleagues, it was found that prioritizing positivity also resulted in better relationships, more resilience, and more mindful behavior. One very important note from the study: trying too hard to be happy or paying too much attention to how happy you feel is counterproductive. So ditch the self-monitoring and just let happiness happen. For the 10th strategy on my list, I'd suggest becoming more extroverted or outgoing. I can already hear some of your introverts chirping about this one, saying things like, "I don't like people. That's why I text instead of call," or "How can doing something uncomfortable make me happier?" And for those wondering what an introvert is, it's someone who identifies as being shy and quiet and prefers to be alone. Well, my argument to anyone thinking that it'd be better to typically be alone would simply be this: even though it may be uncomfortable to socialize at times, we're all designed for connection. In a 2014 study by Dr. Charles Ching and colleagues, they had study participants act in an outgoing way for 10 minutes and report how it impacted their feelings. What the researchers found in this study is that participants experienced a notable boost in happiness, including those individuals who consider themselves introverted. What was particularly interesting about this study is that the results seemed to be universal. They found the same results when testing individuals in the United States, Venezuela, the Philippines, China, Japan. And the beauty of this happiness tip is it can be easily worked into your day and takes very little time. Here are a few quick examples. Spend a few minutes talking to a coworker. Chat with the receptionist when attending an appointment. Talk to a stranger in an elevator instead of staring at your phone. Say hi to someone you're about to walk past. Talk with another parent while attending your child's practice or game. Stop to thank or compliment someone meaningful to you, and so on. And remember, the goal is to continue stacking small activities throughout the day. Even taking a few minutes to socialize with people can help to produce big gains in feelings of happiness. Next, I encourage you to focus on looking for ways to give whenever possible. Think about this for a moment. What does it feel like to give? Give a gift. Give your time. Typically, there's an inner feeling of joy that comes from giving, particularly when you see the joy it brings someone else, or the positive impact that can have on someone's life. I've often said that volunteering is a wonderful giving pursuit, but if it felt like giving a root canal, how many people do you think would do it? For how long? When you give, it feels good, almost as if we were wired to feel that way. In a 2013 study, Dr. John Hellowell and colleagues, they looked at the relationship between doing nice things for other people and feelings of happiness. The study was quite expansive, as they examined 255 metropolitan areas across the United States. Not surprisingly, they found that people in communities are happier when they give and do nice things for others. And the researchers discovered that it doesn't need to be done on a particularly large scale. Small actions also contributed to feelings of happiness. So I encourage you to create a list of small things you can do that wouldn't involve a significant amount of time, but could be highly impactful for someone else. A few examples could include helping a neighbor, holding a door for someone who needs assistance, volunteering your time, donating to charity, listening to someone who needs to talk, asking someone over for dinner, and so on. There's an endless list that can be created here, but the end result is a win-win situation. You win by feeling better, forgiving, and the other person wins by receiving the benefit of your kindness. And for my 12th and final strategy for improving feelings of happiness, I encourage you to find a sense of purpose, especially if you feel you currently don't have one. So what's your purpose? Or for you, what's the meaning of life? Now that's a loaded question that's highly individual. What gives one person's life purpose and meaning can differ greatly. But establishing meaning and a sense of purpose can be very important factors when attempting to solve your own personal happiness equation. Without meaning or sense of purpose, people can be left feeling aimless and confused about what the point of life is. So how important is a sense of purpose? Once again, I'll refer back to a survey I mentioned in the first video by the charity Action for Happiness. In their examination of everyday habits that make people happier, meaning or a sense of purpose landed in the top 10 list. So clearly, this is an area well worth exploring. And if you're uncertain what the meaning or purpose of your life is, an excellent place to start will be to look at the areas of your life that are already meaningful. Such areas might include being a parent, volunteering, your career, being a helpful person, pursuing and advancing knowledge such as researching or innovating, supporting a social cause, connection with family, and so on. And when exploring your list, ask yourself if there's purpose and meaning in how you're currently living your life. If it feels like something is missing, here are a few questions to help you along the way. What are you passionate about? What do you enjoy doing? Is there something that a friend or family member is doing that could add a sense of meaning or purpose to your life? Imagine being older, looking back on life. Is there something meaningful you could be doing right now that you'll regret later if you don't do it? Is there a friend or family member who knows you well who could help answer this question? Once you've created a list, start by selecting your favorite idea and pursue it for a while. If it doesn't click, move on to the next one. Life is supposed to be a journey, and finding meaning and a sense of purpose is well worth pursuing. Before I end this video, I have one final bonus tip, and that is, don't attempt too many of these strategies all at once. I've discussed 12 ways to feel happier, all backed by scientific research. I'd suggest beginning by incorporating just one of these tips into your daily routine. Try it for a week and see how it impacts your overall level of happiness. From there, you can continue to slowly layer in other suggestions on the list that you feel will have the greatest impact. Otherwise, you risk becoming overwhelmed and abandoning these strategies altogether. The goal is to gradually increase your happiness set point. Yes, happiness has a set point, just like body weight. And the goal is to move it to a level that gives your life a sense of happiness and fulfillment that has you looking forward to living each and every day. So to provide a quick recap of my 6 strategies for implementing feelings of happiness from today's video, first, it's important not to get too caught up with materialism. There's nothing wrong with wanting nice things, but there becomes a problem with achieving to be happy because the feelings are typically short-lived. Instead, it's better to develop a happily achieving approach that encourages feeling grateful for what you have and allows room for you to enjoy future progress. For my second strategy, I encourage you to take time to learn new things. In a recent study, learning new things was listed as one of the top 5 happy habits, as learning can be a novel experience that helps shake off boredom and routine and creates a feeling of progress and accomplishment. Next, it's important to prioritize positivity in your life. Simply put, what you focus on helps to determine how you feel. So it helps to find small, positive activities such as enjoying your morning coffee or talking to someone positive and energetic to weave into the course of your day. For my fourth strategy, I suggest becoming more extroverted or outgoing. Contrary to popular belief, you don't need to be born this way to be more outgoing. Recent research shows that spending as little as 10 minutes a day being more outgoing can lead to an immediate, measurable boost in happiness. Next, I'd encourage you to focus on giving whenever possible. It's been said that the secret to living is giving. When people give, they feel good, almost as if we were wired to do so. So I'd suggest thinking of even small ways you can give to others during the course of your day. And for my 6th and final strategy for impacting happiness from today's video, I'd encourage you to find a sense of purpose. It can be very difficult to find consistent happiness in life if your attitude towards living leads to the question, what's the point? If you're uncertain, I encourage you to begin looking at areas in your life that currently provide meaning or have been meaningful in the past. It'd also be wise to ask yourself what you're generally passionate about, what's important to you, or what area of life would you like to impact. And for a final bonus tip, I encourage you to begin by consistently implementing only one of the strategies I've listed. Attempting too many strategies all at once can lead to a feeling of overwhelm and you risk abandoning all strategies. So I encourage you to start with just one, do it for a week until it becomes habit forming and relatively easy to do before adding another strategy. I hope you found these strategies helpful for improving feelings of happiness. If you did, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel by clicking the subscribe button below. If you ring the bell, you'll be notified next time we release a video. And of course, feel free to like and share the video. If you have questions about the material, please leave a comment and I'll do my best to respond to them in a timely manner. If you're experiencing challenges implementing the steps in this video, please contact us at Sullivan Associates Clinical Psychology. Thank you for watching.